Hey guys, Amanda here. So, I made a video talking about my way back and I want to share it with all of you. So, I'm just letting you know after this video is going to be a picture of my famous cheddar jalapeno loaf and then a video about my time at rehab for Kratom, what happened to me when I got home. It's been really, really much harder than I ever anticipated. I never in a million years thought my family would isolate me out, uninvite me to Father's Day, uninvite me to our 4th of July celebration. I don't know if they think this is a disease that they're going to catch if I sneeze, but no, something was sold to me in a gas station that got me hooked. It's the worst shit I've ever taken in my life, and I don't do drugs. I've never done cocaine, crack, heroin, meth. I did kratom. Anyway, here's my video. I hope you enjoy. Hey guys, I know this is probably a surprise to see me make this video, but it's important to me that people know that mental illness mixed with substance abuse Amazon Prime, it's a lot bigger. Aren't you glad they're not airplanes? I'm glad they're not airplanes. Anyway, are bigger than what I ever imagined. Going to rehab for me was like my prayers being answered. It was hard to admit to myself that I needed to go. And honestly, now that I'm home, I need to go back. And I'm going to tell you why. I went to rehab because I made a decision to get behind the wheel, not under the influence. Like, it was a night that I wasn't able to sleep because I decided to detox myself off of this drug that you can buy in any convenience store called Kratom. And I thought it was like a energy supplement, because it was kind of with the 5 hour energy drinks. And I realized it, man, it made me feel good. It's kind of like a cross between a Percocet and an Adderall, honestly. And so at first I was just taking half of one tablet and then another half. So like a pack of four would last me a couple days. And then pretty soon I realized a pack of four was only lasting me one day. And my husband was getting suspicious because he was seeing, like, wondering, like, why all of a sudden am I buying all my gas at like these random gas stations when I've never, like, I'm a Casey's girl. I like the benefits that you get with the Casey's cash and shit. And then in the midst of me trying to go cold turkey, it was the most awful restless leg I've ever had in my life. And I took a Xanax at 4 and a couple muscle relaxers. And then I got up at 5 because, again, I couldn't sleep and I was going to go get some kratom. But I had to drive to the golf course where my son works because he had my debit card. And I hit the only parked car in the entire parking lot, besides my son's truck, on my way to get it because I was basically falling asleep at the wheel. So the cop came, took me to jail from failing this failed sobriety test, which is, sorry about that, interrupted by my daughter and my husband screaming at each other about taking her to ground control, trampoline park. Anyway, I want to tell y'all what happened to me on my way home from our place. This is dedicated to the class of June 7th through June 21st. You know who you are. And if I say any names going forward, I'll probably change the name, but you know who you are, just to keep everybody's anonymity. So on my way home, I didn't get to say goodbye to anybody, which was heartbreaking because you spend time with all these strangers and you're just telling them your rawest moments. of suffering that you've ever encountered. And everybody does that. So you're sitting in a room, or in my case, usually it was outside because it was during, socializing. And you're just met with so much empathy, vulnerability. The staff that worked there, they were all former addicts or former mental health, or they've been there, done that, basically. So, number one, there's nothing getting by them, which was good for those of us that might have been a little combative when they first got there. Um, they have so much empathy and love in their hearts for everybody because, again, they've been there. Most of the group therapy session therapists, leaders, counselors, been there. So it was basically like a family of some sort. So on my way home, I stopped in Vegas. Only a 3 hour trip in Vegas. They were going to book me home in Vegas, guys, and I was going to have a 17-hour layover in Vegas. A former addiction of mine was gambling. Therefore, I have free rooms probably at any hotel in downtown Las Vegas, which I could have easily gotten with a phone call, comp, money. I would have been on a craps table in probably less than 30 minutes of arriving at the hotel, and then the cocktail waitress is going to come around and ask what drink I want, or she might even already know what I drink because I was probably there last year. Anyway, I'm in Vegas and I'm walking from the Seagate all the way around. If you know the Vegas airport, all the way around to the B Gate, where there's like the Circle bar where they had the World Cup on. That I'd stop and I'd walk again all the way back to the Seagate on the little runny boards that I like to get on. And because I had 3 hours and I knew if I at least took an hour or so for exercise, then I'd feel better about myself, and then I could go to the smoking room and try to bum a cigarette and gamble a little bit. So I'm sitting at a slot machine and I FaceTime my kid, my 20-year-old, and I have not had a cigarette since Wednesday. And this is Saturday. No, Friday. No, it was Saturday. Yeah, Saturday. So I haven't had a cigarette. I'm sitting at a slot machine. I'm FaceTiming Hayden. We're talking, and I telling him, I was like, man, if you could have a pack of cigarettes on the kitchen counter when I get home, I would love you forever. So I could just grab them and go out in the back patio and have a cig. And he's like, yeah, mom, and then I feel someone tap on my shoulder. And I turn around and it's a full pack of cigarettes this lady handed me. And I just kind of packed them and took one out and went to hand them back. And she said, no, you can keep it. So I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. She gave me a whole pack of cigarettes. So I proceeded to smoke about 4 or 5 and got to some of their slot machines, got up to where I was winning up by 30. So I cashed out because I'm kind of hungry. And I had $50 in my checking account, by the way, when I left. So I took out 40 in the airport with the $4 machine, $4 ATM charge. That leaves like $6 and whatever else I had in there. So I go get my chips and salsa, and it comes to like $10, and I go to hand her a 20, and she's like, "Oh no, credit card only, baby." I was like, "All I have is cash." So I pull out my debit card. I'm like, "Well, we can see how much it has in it," and I swipe it, and it says approved on my end, but on her end it says like $8.30. So I still owed, we'll just say $1.70. And I'm looking at her, and I'm like, I mean, I just said it out loud, and I couldn't believe I said it. I said, I'm so sorry. Like, I just got out of rehab and I only brought one debit card with just a little bit of money on it because that's all I needed it for. And I didn't say it for empathy. It came out in like almost like a sense of pride, like I made it through. And she said, oh, don't worry. Like, I got you. So then I walked straight to the Circle bar. I sit down. I'm eating the chips and salsa, chips and salsa, chips and salsa. Bartender walks by, asks what I want. I immediately just said Pacifico. Didn't skip a beat. And I'm still eating my chips and salsa, and I'm not even thinking about anything else. And then this beautiful beer is put right in front of me. And I'm like, what the fuck, Amanda? And I'm looking at this beer and I hear, attention in the airport. Amanda, please report. And I'm like, shit. And so I throw my 20 down and I pick up the beer and I look to the guy next to me, military haircut, like a man in a uniform. And I said, thank you for serving our country. I just got this and I just got out of rehab and I can't drink this, but I hope you will. I gave the bartender a 20 and I headed for the plane. I get on the plane, take the plane ride home. Nothing exciting happened on the plane. I get back to Oklahoma City. We landed at 1:30 in the morning on Sunday. And I'm supposed to call my husband to get me an Uber because he can't trust me with the finances. 'Cause I can't blame him. So I'm calling him and calling him and calling him. And keep in mind, he'd been up all day in the heat watching our daughter play 4 softball games. Then he had to do, he's a daughter dad. He takes her everywhere. It's driving little Miss Allie is his third career, so I knew he was worn out, but I kept calling. I kept calling. I kept calling. I kept calling. Right now it's like 1:45, 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm literally the last person in Oklahoma City airport. And I just said a prayer. I was like, God, please help me. I have fucked up. I am in this position because of me, but please let me get an Uber. And I just went to Uber and I just said, boom. It says Harlan's on his way. And I'm thinking, I'm not even going to look to see what credit card that booked on because I'll just explain it later. I mean, I went even up to the cops and I was like, I've ridden in a cop car twice already this year. I kind of know how to maneuver in there pretty good. Surely it won't be so bad if I know I'm being taken home, but I got Harlan now. Harlan shows up in a wife beater, tattoos, full handlebars, but I don't care. I asked for God for a miracle and he sent it to me. So then I give him my suitcase and Harlan goes, man, you must have been gone for a while. This suitcase is packed fat. I said, yes, sir. I said, I was in North Hollywood for 2 weeks for rehab. I have a substance abuse problem. And he looked at me and he said, I'm 36 years in recovery. So he drove me home and we talked about AA and we talked about NA and we talked about where the meetings are close to my house and how I can do them online if I don't want to drive my car. And he got out and he walked me a suitcase, got it inside, and I just was like, what the fuck just happened? Like, how am I going to explain this to Shane? No one's going to believe me that I think Jesus drove me home from the airport. So since I've been home, it hasn't been good. I haven't relapsed, but I just can't shake this feeling of missing you guys. Like, there's a lot of downtime. There's a lot of reminders of the person I was before I left here. There's a lot of triggers. There's a lot of isolation from family that were affected by my drug use and were not directly affected by my drug use, but either way, I'm a bad influence. So I don't know what I'm going to do, but I am going to say this that stay as long as you need to. Fight your insurance company. There's ways that you can get your PCP to do referrals because you guys, like, when you're making a complete life change like that, it's hard.
I didn't get to see my dad on Father's Day like I wanted to because of my drug use, I'm sure. My dad did come over yesterday and without skipping a beat, he's like, "You got a beer?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm sure there's some in the cooler." And I went, sure enough, there's a beer, gave it to him, sat down. I didn't crave it. That's not the hard part, hasn't been the cravings and the alcohol or for me, the kratom. That shit is like disgusting to me, like eating kimchi or some shit. The hard part is not having anybody to talk to. So Amanda's looking for a PHP now, and I hope and pray that any of y'all see this from that little class of the summer of 2026. Like, I hope you're doing good. I hope I make a follow up video to this someday. But anyway, I love you guys. Bye.